In 1962, a 38-year-old man stood on a street corner in Pasadena, California, facing a reality that would break most human beings. He was newly divorced in an era when that carried a heavy social stigma. He was living in a cramped, dilapidated apartment, and most devastatingly, he had just buried his 9-year-old son, Teddy, who had succumbed to leukemia. This man, who had once been a promising lawyer, was now effectively broke, drowning in medical debt, and driving a beat-up yellow Pontiac with a shattered windshield. That man was Charlie Munger. Before he became the billionaire vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway and the legendary partner to Warren Buffett, he was at a financial and emotional zero, or as he often described it, a negative net worth. If you are starting 2026 with nothing in your bank account, you aren't just facing a challenge. You are standing exactly where one of the greatest investors in human history once stood. The question isn't whether it is possible to build wealth from nothing in 2026. The question is whether you possess the temperament to follow the blueprint Munger used to claw his way out of that hole. Most people believe that wealth is a product of luck, timing, or complex mathematical algorithms, but Munger's life proves otherwise. He often remarked that it is remarkable how much long-term advantage people like us have gotten by trying to be consistently not stupid instead of trying to be very intelligent. As we enter this year, the economic landscape is shifting, but the fundamental laws of capital remain as fixed as the laws of physics. Starting with $0 is not a death sentence. In many ways, it is a clean slate that allows you to build a foundation without the structural rot of bad financial habits that plague the middle-class poor. To understand how to navigate 2026, we must first accept a counterintuitive truth from the Munger school of thought. Your biggest obstacle isn't a lack of capital, but a lack of rationality. Most individuals starting at zero will spend the first 3 months of the year looking for a shortcut, a speculative crypto coin, a high-leverage trading strategy, or a get-rich-quick scheme. Munger called this Lollapalooza territory, where multiple bad incentives lead to total financial ruin. If you want to end 2026 in a position of power, you must realize that you are not looking for a win. You are looking to build a machine. We are going to break down the exact month-by-month framework based on 70 years of Munger's wisdom to take you from a $0 balance to a position of unbreakable financial strength. The first phase of this journey, occupying the month of January, is what Munger would call eliminating the standard stupidities. If you have $0, it is because your burn rate, the speed at which you consume capital, is equal to or greater than your earn rate. This is a mathematical emergency. Munger famously said, "I did not intend to get rich. I just wanted to get independent." Independence begins with the brutal realization that you cannot afford your current life. On January 1st, your only task is to stop the hemorrhaging. This means a total audit of every cent. In a documentary-style breakdown of your finances, we would see that the average person loses 15% to 20% of their potential wealth to invisible leaks, unused subscriptions, convenience fees, and lifestyle inflation that provides no long-term utility. To stop the bleeding, you must adopt the Munger parsimony. When Charlie was building his first law practice and later his investment firm, he lived with a level of frugality that would shock modern consumers. In 2026, this means selling the car with the high interest payment and buying a reliable, depreciated vehicle for cash. It means cutting every subscription that isn't directly tied to your income. It means transforming your home from a center of consumption into a center of production. Every dollar you save in January isn't just a dollar, it is a seed. If you save $500 this month by cutting fluff, and you are 25 years old, that $500, compounded at a market average of 7%, could be worth nearly $8,000 by the time you retire. In January, you aren't just saving money, you are rescuing your future self from poverty. Moving into February and March, the focus shifts from defense to aggressive offense. Munger noted that the first $100,000 is a betch, but you have to do it. If you are at zero, your primary goal for these 60 days is to maximize your utility in the marketplace. We are living in an era where the knowledge economy allows for unprecedented scaling of personal income. If I were starting 2026 with nothing, I would not be looking for a better job. I would be looking to stack complementary skills. Munger's concept of mental models suggests that a person who understands law, psychology, and accounting is 10 times more valuable than a person who only understands one. You must work the primary job to cover the bills, but your evenings and weekends are for high-margin labor, freelancing, consulting, or specialized trade work that pays a premium for results rather than hours. During these 2 months, your goal is to hit a capital threshold of $5,000. Why $5,000? Because in the world of investment, $5,000 is the minimum amount required to move from a state of survival to a state of opportunity. This period requires a level of intensity that most people are unwilling to endure. It is the grind phase. Munger worked 80-hour weeks well into his 50s, not because he loved the labor, but because he loved the freedom that labor purchased. By April 1st, if you have remained disciplined, that $5,000 balance in your savings account will represent more than just currency. It will be the first piece of evidence that you are no longer a victim of your circumstances, but a master of them. From April through June, we enter the most critical psychological phase, building the fortress of rationality. Most amateur investors make the mistake of taking their first $5,000 and throwing it into the stock market. Munger would tell you this is a mistake for someone starting at zero. Why? Because the market is volatile, and a person with no margin of safety is a person who will panic. If the market drops 10% in May, the person with only $5,000 will feel the biological urge to sell to protect what little they have. This is loss aversion, and it is the enemy of wealth. Instead, these 3 months are dedicated to building an emergency fund of $10,000 to $15,000. This is your go-to-hell fund. This cash reserve serves a dual purpose. First, it prevents you from ever needing to take on high-interest debt again. Second, it changes your posture in the workplace. A man with $15,000 in the bank can negotiate a raise or walk away from a toxic boss. A man with $0 is a slave. Munger and Buffett always kept a mountain of cash at Berkshire Hathaway, not because they liked low returns, but because they liked being the only people in the room with liquidity when a crisis hit. By June 30th, you should have roughly $15,000 in a high-yield savings account. You are now officially solvent, a state of being that 60% of adults in developed nations never truly achieve. As we move into July and August, we begin the phase of internal compounding. Munger famously said, "The best thing a human being can do is help another human being know more." In a financial context, the best thing you can do is make yourself know more. With your $15,000 foundation set, you now take the excess cash flow from your multiple income streams and reinvest it, not into the S&P 500, but into your human capital. This is the year you pay for the certification that doubles your billable rate. This is the year you invest in the specialized equipment that allows you to start a side business. If you spend $3,000 on a course or a tool that increases your annual income by $10,000, you have achieved a 333% return. No stock on earth can consistently offer that. By September and October, you are ready to enter the world of ownership. This is where you begin to apply Munger's lattice work of mental models to actual asset allocation. You are looking for cannibal companies or wonderful businesses at a fair price. You start small. Perhaps it is a diversified index fund to capture the broad market's growth, or perhaps you've identified a specific niche you understand deeply. The key here is patience. Munger often said, "The big money is not in the buying and the selling, but in the waiting." You are not trading, you are collecting. You are buying pieces of businesses that will work for you while you sleep, eat, and breathe. By October, the small dividends and fractional growth will begin to appear, the first green shoots of a garden that will eventually feed you for life. The final 2 months of the year, November and December, are the discipline filter. This is where the world will try to take your progress back. The holiday industrial complex is designed to separate the newly solvent from their capital through the pressure of social obligation and consumerism. Munger's partner, Warren Buffett, still lives in the house he bought in 1958. Munger himself was known for his standard 19th century values. They understood that wealth is what you don't see. It's the cars not bought, the watches not worn, and the status games not played. In November, you double down on your savings. In December, you audit your year and realize that you have done what 99% of people failed to do. You broke the cycle. If you started January 2026 with $0 and followed this Munger-inspired path, you are ending the year with a five-figure liquidity cushion, enhanced professional skills, and the beginnings of an investment portfolio. More importantly, you have developed the Munger mindset, the ability to see the world as it truly is rather than how you wish it to be. You have traded a year of temporary sacrifice for a lifetime of permanent optionality. As Charlie Munger passed away just shy of his 100th birthday, his final lesson to us was simple. Spend less than you make, always be learning, and do it every day. The year 2026 is going to pass regardless of what you do. You can end it in the same stress you're in now, or you can end it as a person on the path to becoming a titan. The blueprint is in your hands. Now, go to work.